You are up.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are in session, and I want to break from the usual for just a minute. There was a tragedy in our country yesterday, and it affects all of us. And there's tragedies everywhere that go on every day. And so I would like to take just a minute before we begin this meeting and have a moment of silence, not only for those victims of yesterday's tragedy, but for all the victims that are suffering around the world today. So if you'd all join with me for that 1 minute. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, this morning we get to start with Maggie.
Mr. Chair, we have an
yes.
amended agenda.
Oh,
I'd make a motion that we accept the amended agenda.
okay. We have a motion. Is there any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, come on up, Maggie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I did email some handouts to Christy, but it was kind of late yesterday. Do you all have those? Because I do have hard copies if
do
you
have-
need the hard copy.
They're in our
They're in the
packet.
packet.
Okay, all right.
Maggie?
Yes.
We need one for her.
Okay,
Here, I can give her this one.
okay. So what I'd like to talk with you about this morning is the licensing and inspection of public and commercial swimming pools. And the reason I'm bringing this to you today is up until the end of June, Idaho has had a state level statute in place that required the Department of Health and Welfare, which of course we are separate from, to conduct licensing and inspecting of all public swimming pools in the state of Idaho. They delegated that authority to the local public health districts around the state, and so we have done that for decades with public swimming pools. And unfortunately, that statute was repealed this last session. And so as of the 1st of July, there's no authority to license or inspect any type of public swimming pool in the state of Idaho. So I will let you know, we did get all of ours done prior to July 1st when we still had that authority. But we do have concern that not inspecting swimming pools on a regular basis has the potential to result in some communicable disease spread. And that's what we're trying to prevent. So Oneida County actually requested us to come meet with them to talk about putting a county level or county-wide ordinance in place to reestablish the authority to license and inspect public and commercial swimming pools. So the definitions of those are in your packet. A public swimming pool is essentially one that someone pays a fee in order to use to go swimming or be at the pool. So like Ross Park Pool, Downetta, the pools in Lava. We are also recommending that we include commercial pools in this, which would include like hotel pools and fitness club pools. And the reason for that is those are the pools that we tend to get the most complaints about. And so our recommendation, and it's grounded in what's the 2024 Model Aquatic Health Code, which is kind of the gold standard for communicable disease prevention and safe operation of swimming pools. The ordinance is grounded in that. And what I shared with you is a draft that was developed by the city of Caldwell. And it's grounded in that Model Aquatic Health Code. So that's what we shared with Oneida County. They are interested in passing this type of ordinance. And then at our Board of Health meeting earlier this month, the board recommended that I meet with every county in the district and talk about the potential to establish these county-wide ordinances. Now, because some pools like Ross Park do fall into city jurisdiction, we are also starting to work with cities. In fact, the city of Pocatello reached out to us while this legislation was pending and said, if this goes through, we want to work with you to put something in place at the city level. But we believe, and the board's recommendation was, that city and county ordinances should be in place that mirror each other, so that we don't get into a situation where an operator might say, well, the county says this and the city says this, which do we follow? So what I shared with Christy to forward to you is a draft ordinance, and then also a memorandum of agreement, which would place the where the county would designate the public health district as the licensor and inspector of those public swimming pools. And the reason that we're suggesting that is we have a lot of experience doing that. We have a high degree of expertise, and the pool operators are used to working with us. There's also a really good link, should any kind of communicable disease outbreak occur, with our epidemiology group that can work with the pool to help identify, like, what's the source of that disease outbreak. So I'm happy to try and answer any questions.
Well, we need to work with the cities, but my question is, if the state statute covered city pools and in cities and stuff, then wouldn't the county? And that's where I turned to our legal team, and we'd have to talk and see, we'll look at this ordinance and stuff. But we do have to cooperate with the cities, because all the motels and stuff are in
Yeah.
the cities. I
Yeah.
mean, so we have to coordinate with them.
We are meeting with the city of Pocatello later today. We've talked with them on the phone and via email, but we're having our first face-to-face meeting about a potential city ordinance. And again, we think that they should largely be the same.
And that would be Lava also, and that would be Chubbuck. So, I
Yep.
mean, the coordination needs to
Yeah.
be worked out between
Yep.
all of us.
See, down that is probably the only county
Currently, yes.
that I can think of, or at least legal ones.
Yep.
Who knows what little swimming pools are in somebody's backyard. But as I say, I think at this point, I'd like to see those cities step up, and we'll follow their lead and see what.
Okay.
Because the bulk of the responsibility is going to be with them, and quote, monitoring, enforcing, and that's what I would think is the cities need to take the lead on this one.
Okay.
And then we'd have to include that in our fees,
Yeah.
the
fee
cost
schedule.
structure, however we're going to do that, so you're compensated.
So the idea, and it talks about that in the ordinance, is that the pool would cover the cost of, so like if it's Ross Park Pool would have to pay the licensing fee.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
it's-
they'd end up paying it. I just
Yeah.
didn't know if it'd be a fee structure that we would have to have on the books so that everybody's charged the same, and
Yeah.
or according to size. And I mean, there's a few other things to look at in that.
Absolutely.
My question is, how do you see this impacting the hot pools at Lava? Because those are mineral pools. and
Yes.
Some of what you're proposing could have a very good impact on that, which
So
don't want to mess with that.
they're a unique animal. I don't see that it would be the hot pools, but the swimming pool that's open in the summer.
Okay, but your definition right now includes that.
Well, that's why this is a draft.
Right.
And we could also write an exemption for lava into that, because we have never inspected those hot pools and we've never had a problem.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they're operated pretty well, and they want to continue to do that, so they're very motivated. And we do consult with them if they have questions.
And they have a great relationship with you.
yeah.
I understand that. So the
Yeah.
pushback isn't about the pool inspection or anything like that. We're all for that. It was potentially the impact to the hot pools or the mineral pools by doing some of what you're proposing could seriously impact that.
Yeah,
Aren't they state?
they are.
So they're under their own jurisdiction in a way, if those are state pools.
They are a unique
Yeah.
situation. They're kind of a one-off.
Yeah. Well, if we can make a provision for something like that, again, I agree with what the commissioners have said.
Okay.
Get this feedback from the city, see what they want to do.
Okay.
Carve out something for the hot pools so we don't disturb that. And I'm good if we move forward with that.
Okay. If you have a chance to review the language in the draft, if you have any feedback or suggestions for changes that you would like to see, if you can just communicate that to me and I'll forward it on to Ken. Ken had planned to be here this morning, but he's not feeling well, so,
Okay,
yeah.
sounds good.
Okay. Any questions for me?
No, that was good, thank you. Any other questions?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very
Thank you, Maggie,
much.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Scott? And PVSC.
Morning, Commission. Scott Keller, Event Director, Business Manager. You guys want to introduce us?
Mary Keller, President, PBSE.
Courtney Liu, accounting.
Erica New, Secretary of the Board.
So we met a couple weeks ago and talked a little bit about the contract for PBSC. And between then and now, we've crunched some numbers. I've kind of calculated some things out on my own. In talking to PBSC yesterday, I talked to Courtney for a little bit, and definitely the numbers that I had been crunching were not correct. There's more nuance to the numbers than the way that I was crunching them. And we talked about increasing the fees. Last time I had mentioned something around, maybe going around 20,000, going from 12,000 to 20,000. And Commissioner Mosier made said something closer to 30, and so we kind of came, I'm kind of playing a little bit of guess because it is a significant fee reduction that we do to allow PBSC to use those fields. And so the structure that we came into is about $30,000 a year, but over a 3-year contract it would grow from 27 to 30 to 33 the last year. So it would grow with that. The only thing that this doesn't address, which is something that I think that I would love to see, and I don't know necessarily how to do it, is I don't know that this necessarily reduces the impact for the kids, which I think is the key to the fee reductions, is to try to reduce the impact for the kids. And there, we have a ton of people that come here. It's a great event for our county and for the surrounding cities. But I definitely would love to see something that helped kids in that plan. So this is the framework that I have presented to PBSC. This is something that we've talked about, the 27 to 30 to 33. But I would love to see something where if there was a way to reduce fees. Oh, this also does include a spring and fall service project. And those would be just, we'll coordinate with these guys to kind of figure that out. But I don't know if there's a way, if this feels like the direction you want us to head, but I don't know how we necessarily impact the players.
PVSC, thoughts?
So like, are you talking to reduce like the fees for the kids? Is that what, I guess I'm not sure what you're.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I think from my standpoint, and again, I'm just presenting this to the board. It's already a significant fee waiver, but I thought about some of the things that we've done for, like with the partnerships we have with other youth sports, whether it's football, a lot of the rodeo stuff that we do. They'll come do service for us. They'll do things to help reduce that. High school rodeo runs a rodeo for special needs kids during their rodeo as part of their fee reduction. And I mean, I think the when it comes to maintenance of those fields, when it comes to the cost, that's a cost that this will obviously has an impact on that cost, but it doesn't necessarily pay for all the costs that we bring to those fields. Those fields are expensive to maintain. And so how we best want to see county dollars utilized or the money that we bring in. I don't know.
Can I say a few things?
Please.
Okay. So I feel like the position that I hold as the clerk to the commissioners and my relationship with soccer in Pocatello for the last 45 years, I have a unique perspective. And I think that we've gotten to this place not because of these ladies, and they're going to bear the brunt a little bit of past leadership. So in the past, there have been mandatory coaches meetings and things where board members and leadership, not you, was blamed the county for increased rates last year from $600 to $1,000, and that wasn't the case. There were a lot of things that were put out there that weren't true. Not these ladies, they weren't involved. But now that's upsetting when the county commission hears about that, and we're giving a huge rate reduction for PVSC, which the commission has always been very, very obliged to reduce fees when a program deals with kids, whether it's all the way up to ISU rodeo, all the way down to the littlest peewee event. When it's kids, the problem is when we don't have a good partner, and Scott's hearing about it, and I'm getting calls. I coach for PVSC, and have for years and years and years and years. Off and on for the last 30 years, I've coached for different teams for PVSC. And so the problem that got us here today is a bad relationship, and it's been bad. And there's been a lot of finger pointing. And there's not a lot of understanding from our perspective from PVSC when you get calls from the public or a coach or something when a sprinkler head fails or something like that. Well, that's watered at night, and it takes a few days for us to figure it out. And those sprinkler heads are $100 a piece. They're not like the little $9 Home Depot Hunter that you put in your yard. There's a lot of effort that has gone into those fields over the last few years. And so what we expect from a partner that is receiving a huge price break is to first acknowledge that you're getting a huge price break, and then be a good partner with us and say, you know what, we'll find out. But the system that we have been given was not meant to do exactly what it does with those fields. We've had to figure it out over the last few years. And as a player who plays on those fields with my old 50-year-old buddies at nights, those fields have never looked better. I started playing on those fields in 1990. And they've never looked better than they did this last year. And yeah, they've got some brown spots over here, but Scott was out there fixing it just the other day, right? So the other issue that's a little bit upsetting from this side of the table is when fee rates go from $600 to $1,000 per year. When we look at outside entities, other leagues that are of equal size, and they're like $400. Idaho Falls is still $400 for their competitive program. They just upped it to $450, I believe. Mary told me, not this Mary, another Mary. So when the commission, it's not me, when the commission gives a fee waiver, it's kind of for the purpose of making it affordable for everyone. And so I think when they're giving a fee waiver of how much total is the fee waiver?
Well, the fees, it's north of 300,000.
Down to 12,000.
That's what it has been.
12,000 is what it has been for the last few years. And then there's a huge rate increase. And then when I know of people that call me and they say, well, I was given the scholarship, right? Because parents can kind of work off some of that and get a scholarship, and then it's approved and then not approved, which I heard multiple times over the last year. That's upsetting from this side of the table. If you're gonna run a big business, charge big rates, and build new buildings with your cost savings that the county's giving you, then that's upsetting. So I think what we're looking for is a really good partnership where we have your back and you have ours, and we've not felt that since I've been in this seat for 7 years. It's not been that. It's been a lot of finger pointing and begrudging attitude towards the county, and that's a difficult pill to swallow when we're just trying to help. And we have put so much money and time into those fields. And I play on those fields. I'm on those fields every day. I live just a few blocks away, and I'm either there with my kids, my friends, or my team almost every single day. So what we're looking for is a better partnership. And when there are mandatory coaches meetings, it's not inflammatory numbers being thrown out. There again, not these ladies, but the number last year that I heard from the mandatory coaches meeting that rates went up because we raised the rates for PBSC. I heard anything from $35,000 to $45,000 was the number that was thrown out. And that's what coaches called me about. Is that really what you're charging? So I showed them the contract, PBSC contract, which shows right around $12,000. Anyways, it's for kids. How many soccer players do you have at PBSC right now?
At any given time throughout the year, because there are different programs that open and close and things like that, but we have between 300 and 400 competitive players, between fall players only and then annual players. And then we have like our younger program, and that's about 2/3 of our players. They're anywhere from about 3 years old to about 12 years old, and those are the kids that like really are our drive, right? Obviously all of the kids are, but those younger kids that we're bringing up through the programs. So typically, on average, I'd say about 1,300 to 1,500 kids. And those are never like permanent numbers because some registrations go up in the season and some go down.
Right.
But I can tell you that previous administration, unfortunately, has put us in a really sticky situation, and we're trying to make that right with our families. I know that the fees had been increased last year. However, we've given significant price cuts to families, offered discounts throughout the programs. This season alone, like in the fall, we've done about $17,000 in scholarships for kids to play. So we are trying to make it right. We are trying to cover the difference of what previously had happened. And I hope that you guys are willing to give us that opportunity to show you that we are good partners to work with, and we won't let you down this time. And we're very apologetic about previous administration and how that was treated.
Sure.
And if I may, I also grew up playing on those fields, and I've coached on those fields, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel and coach at other fields across the state or in other states, even within our own city. And I would like to echo what we heard during our spring tournament, is that the fields have never looked better. And so we do recognize all of the work and commitment to making it a beautiful facility for us and for the community. And as a board, one of the most common discussions that we've really been having this year is culture. And we have made a commitment as a board to develop our culture. Our primary intent for our club is developing the kid as a whole, right? So we have a lot of really amazing athletes in our program, but we want them to be good people, and we want them to be good stewards within the community. And so having the opportunity to do service projects, to have some pride in those fields and have a little bit more buy-in with our families, but also showing that our families, like, we are a partner. We do want to maintain positive relationships. We do want to set an example for the kids that we're working with and for the families that we're working with, that, you know, when you invest in your community, they invest in you. And when you, like, you know, the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is green where you water it. And so I think we are really working to have a positive change in both, like, board culture. We've done board training. We're trying to have a difference in culture with our coaches, with our families, and then ensuring that all of the kids that are in our youth development program, so the younger ages, that they are starting that foundational level of taking care of your team, taking care of your field, taking care of the equipment, because those lessons that they learn starting at 3 years old or up to 12, you know, whatever, those carry on into being someone who wants to coach and someone who wants to play on those fields and someone who wants to in turn give back to the community and have some pride in what they do.
This goes along with one of my favorite quotes. The change is hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, and beautiful at the end.
Yep.
And right now, we're in the hard part.
We are.
And I echo everything that's been said as far as partnership. We're looking for that partnership. And I ran some of the numbers with Scott, and I'm sad that some of our numbers were a little goofy maybe, but it's a very significant amount that it costs us to maintain them just for your program. And if we look at the retail rate, it's a very significant number. And again, I agree with Jason that it's for the kids. So we're willing to do what we need to do to help the kids, but that takes that partnership. And so today is that first step in the hard part of building that good partnership. I, for one, was fairly happy with the way this looked. Typically, I don't like a longer contract, but I think this is a good direction, a good first step. Commissioners?
And I'd counter that just a little. I'd like to go a one-year contract. I'd like to prove yourself. Then come back next year and let's see where we're at. Because we're doing a master plan on that full facility up there. And we need to have that conversation of how it all works. I mean, what is our final goal in our master plan? So I would just soon go with a one-year contract to start with, and then let you prove yourselves also.
Commissioner Bullock?
I've got some questions. You said you had about 1,500 players, students.
I didn't give it a time yet.
Does that count out of area people that come in and into Pocatello during tournaments?
So that does not include them.
Okay.
This is just our full-time youth
Core
that
group.
play.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's what I advise you to do, is I want you to look at those numbers and help us justify, how many youth are we talking about? Not just here, and I'm not necessarily expecting that today, but these are the numbers that I would like to see, is how many players, number of visitors that possibly come into our area because of those soccer fields. I mean, we're providing that. We're asking the same thing, whether they're a rodeo association, whether they're any other, the football or whatever it is, but we're talking thousands of people that come by through there constantly. And a great team effort by what we're trying to do. But the whole master plan is, how do we help this field? How do we help that field? How do we help the arenas and all of that other stuff? And so I would love to see if you do enough homework to where you know what the retail impact or what the real impact of the number of families that are impacted. That would help. And I know you probably don't have that today, but the way I do the numbers, if you have 1,500 kids, you're talking an impact of each kid at $20. Does that sound? I'm getting right back to the numbers. I mean, if you're talking 30,000 divided by 1,500, I think that's $20. How much do you charge that family or charge that individual for your association?
So again, those are always changing numbers because there's different situations. So we have different discounts for families. We have sibling
Well,
discounts.
above and beyond, no discounts, just
Average.
here, the scholarships can be related, but if I'm to charge a youth to come into your organization, what does that family supposedly, with no discounts, have to pay to come and play?
So depending on the age in the youth program, $95 to $105.
Okay,
In our advanced youth program, they pay $195. For our competitive league, those are very, very different depending on the season and the annual contract, but I would say an average is about $700.
okay. And that's what I'm trying to say, is what we are collecting from you, from the county, versus what you are collecting. And with that, and I'm okay with either the 1 year or the 3 year, but what I would like to see is your financials. Because that shows us how well you're managing that as a board, and whether we have other team players out there, whether you have other sponsorships or whatever that is stepping in and helping. And we're okay to help, but we don't want you to be making lots of money off of our facilities without recognition coming back. Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
Yeah, the only caveat is that we would like an NDA.
It's for my benefit.
Right, no, I
Right.
totally understand that.
Okay.
There's just some previous administration problems that we're still battling, and so we would just like that respect back and forth.
Okay.
That it stays confidential with us just until we're ready to produce our findings. But in the meantime, we're not opposed to giving that to you.
So are you a nonprofit?
We are.
So do you have to comply with Form 990?
Yeah,
Okay, get me a Form 990 because it's public information.
yeah.
Okay, under those kind of things, I can read those, and it just helps us to justify to somebody else another program throughout the county or another sports program that is also wanting to use that field. It gives us a reference point. So don't want you to do it by 2 o'clock this afternoon, but those are the information that,
Absolutely.
what I'd
Get
like
you
to
what you
see.
need.
Scott, what do they pay for youth football?
I think their contract was 2,000. 2,000?
That's 3, wasn't it?
3.
3,000 a year.
They use the field Saturdays, so they use it 1 day a week for 6 weeks. And so these guys use it they use the field 6 days a week for months at a time.
Mhm.
And so that's where the big fee difference equates to, because although it is a fee, we do a fee reduction for football as well.
Right.
Their impact is just 1 day a week.
And what's the partnership like with them?
It's improving. It's improving. They play on the wellness fields, which historically have not been that great. We're working to try to bring those fields up. They would love to play on field. They would love to switch fields. I think a lot of people would love to switch to the Bannock fields. But they've got a great relationship. As a matter of fact, I had a few coaches call me this year and talk about in their coaches meeting that the county received a lot of recognition for the work we've done to try to improve those fields as well. So it's just those fields are just a different beast, and it's going to take
Right.
us years to kind of break through and actually get those things running.
So what are the fees for the youth to play? Football's a shorter season, but
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the cost is per kid.
I think they're about and again, these might be last year's numbers, so I could be wrong, but I think they're at about that $160, $170 range.
For some reason, too. I was thinking,
195?
I was saying it was closer to 200.
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks, buddy.
Do
Well,
they
I just-
still give the coupons and have the kids go out and sell them for raffle tickets? So they can play for nothing if they sell the raffle tickets. They keep the funds from the raffle tickets.
I see. Well, I would like you guys to understand the fee waiver that you're going to get, and that is meant to be passed on to the kids. And if you're, like Commissioner Bullock is saying, if you're a nonprofit, nonprofits make money, that's fine. But if you're gouging the kids off the backs of a fee waiver from the county, that's not a good partnership. And I feel like that's happened a little bit, and I think that it's happened a little bit because CGA charges $2,000. You're not CGA. They're a totally different program. You're not going to try to compete with CGA, except on the field where PVSC has beat CGA. My girls' team. 4 years. We've lost
hitting
months. Anyways, BPVSC. I feel like the fees are exorbitant so that you can do the indoor facility off the back of the fee waiver and to compete with CGA. Because CGA is charging that much, you can charge half and look good. I don't think that's right. And where Idaho Falls is just as big a program and they're $400 for their competitive program, I think that's something you need to look at. It's your business. You can do what you want. That's just my opinion as somebody who has watched and heard over the last however many years of coaching. It's been a long time. So
We're definitely improving.
yeah. I would agree with Ernie that a 1-year contract, it's up to you guys obviously, but I would say that a 1-year contract, we're right back here in a year. And that's not a bad thing, but it's just, let's have a checkup quicker than
3 years.
3 years.
And a 1-year contract would cover spring, because they're currently covered under their current contract for the fall. So it would cover their, really starting in January through all of next year. So we could have this contract, or we could have this negotiation and this discussion a little bit later in the year as well.
Further questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we go ahead and sign a 1-year contract, the 1-year portion of this contract with PVC.
So how can we modify this, or do we just need to have a new one based on
We
this
probably
motion?
need to have a new one. If we can line out just the term, but I'm not sure that that's not going to be reflected throughout the body of the contract. So the best thing to do would be to just memorialize it later.
You guys want to do the 27,000 for the 1 year?
I'm willing to do that. The one-year contract is,
Okay. So if they approve that, then we can get the contract back in, they can just sign it without having everybody come back?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we can memorialize it in the meeting on Tuesday.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Commissioner? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
ladies. Good luck. Buddy?
Morning, Commissioners. Buddy Romero, Public Works Assistant Director.
Jason Murdoch, the shop supervisor.
Tory Danner, Bannock County Coroner.
So, with the couple days that we've had, we were able to get a good diagnosis on the Durango. We found that it's got a bad fuse box, the engine harness, and a PCM, which will equate to about $3,000 in repairs. Booking out the vehicle like on a private party range, the median's about $7,000 in fair condition. So with those repairs and with it being electrical, it's kind of our recommendation that we just part ways with the vehicle and sell it as is at prime time auction. Jason can go into further detail, I guess, if you'd like, on the issues that we're having electrically, but
we showed up at a site and it wouldn't start for the coroner. I mean, we've continued to have problems with the vehicle. I'd just say send it to auction.
Okay, so what's our alternatives then, buddy?
so the alternative would be purchasing Tory a new or used vehicle. So trying to get a government vehicle at a dealership is not easy. I mean, most of the ones they're selling are their Denali's or LTZs or fancier vehicles. So to get him in an LS one, there's one in Woods Cross, Utah. It's got 4,700 miles and it'll be right at 60,300. I can go to Boise and purchase a new one for 62,195. And that's kind of the only two LS Tahoes that I can find within like a 300-mile range. There's nothing like in Pocatello, Idaho Falls, like that. So
I'd just soon stay in Idaho if we can.
that, honestly, that's my recommendation too, because you're only talking a difference of 2,000 miles or $2,000, and 4,700 miles is a whole year of driving for Tory, dang near. Plus you get the added year.
4,700? That's not the number you gave us the other day. for
Well, it's
used truck.
close. Ballpark. It's not exact for sure. But yeah, that's kind of the information that I was able to get you.
Thoughts?
I'd get the contract with the one out of Boise and move forward. He's got to have a vehicle.
Funds? We talked
We
about.
talked about the funds
Got
last week.
finances arranged for us, so.
What is the capital that's already in the coroner's budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, Commissioner?
I'll make the motion, we proceed and purchase that, give Buddy the authorization to pursue that out of contractor, or the dealer out of Boise.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any further discussion?
Real quick, if by chance that vehicle is gone, can we give Buddy permission to spend up to a dollar amount to find the best vehicle possible within the state? Would that be okay? Just in case, because some of these have been
Go fast.
selling pretty quick.
With the same parameters, with the same guidelines as what you're trying to get right now.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. My plan is as soon as we leave here, I'll call and put a purchase order on it to try to hold the vehicle, and then potentially Tori and I could go down Tuesday and pick it up.
Okay.
Unless they want the check first, then you'd have to pick it up on
Unless they
Thursday.
want the check first, yeah.
But we can have a check next Thursday if I can get the information by Tuesday before noon.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion, we've had discussion, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now it's that time that everybody's here for. It's exciting. Again, I just want to thank everybody for their input on the budget on Tuesday. It's nice to have that public involvement and the public discussion. The emails that we have continued to receive, appreciate that. Know that they have been read and duly noted. So with that, I will open the floor up to discussion. Commissioner Moser, do you have?
This is not a public hearing.
Correct, this is
Okay,
not a public
okay.
hearing.
All right. Well, we had our meeting Tuesday, and we did listen to people. There was a lot of conversations about the commissioners and how they don't work and don't do anything, and that we took money from nonprofits. We didn't take money for nonprofits in raising the commission salaries. We had a chief of staff a year ago, a $75,000 job that we did not fill. So the funds from the chief of staff is what funded the raise for the commissioners. The commission are full-time employees. We work 24/7. We're not an 8 to 5 position. The cost of running for office for an elected official, for all elected officials, is spending. So that, I figure that in that also. The commissioners serve, between the three of us, we're on 27 different boards or work with agencies. And if you go into Idaho state law, there's more than 500 references to the powers and the duties of a county commissioner. We have legislative body we make the ordinances and the rules. We're a judiciary body, we're an executive body, and an administrative body. It's not a part-time position, it's a full-time position. Doesn't matter where we're at. Ken was on vacation in Hawaii a week ago or so and received a lot of calls. It's not a part-time position no matter what. We've had a discussion in the Tuesday about the memorial building. And that is a position that I'm pretty strong on, is that with the memorial building, they had water damage. The board come to us and ask us for recommendations for monies, different things. We told them to go ahead and clean that building up. We didn't tell them to go forward. We would send over our maintenance guy and he'd look at it and evaluate the situation. They decided not to do that. They went ahead and got a restoration company, and now they're $300,000 in debt. In the last 6 years, last 6.5 years, since Jason and I have been on this board, we have spent just under $900,000 on that facility. We've done the floors, we've done the windows, we've done the roof, we've done the boilers, we've done brickwork. We haven't abandoned that building, and we still haven't. We're still putting $25,000 in this budget to take care of all the utilities and stuff. And then there was quite a conversation about all the different nonprofits. And Bannock County does quite a bit for nonprofits in that they are not taxed. They don't have a property tax. So that's one form of benefits that comes because of the county. I want to say thank you, though, to Aid for Friends. They made the effort to come and talk to us. And they brought their concerns and what happens and what's going on. And so I appreciate that in the time that the budget was out there, they come and they met with each of us individually. And it makes a big difference when you have the proper information and good information. And then we got hit pretty hard for not supporting veterans. We all support veterans. My daughter's a veteran. And we have a veterans coordinator and an assistant, which most counties don't. Melissa does an amazing job. She goes down to Downey, she goes down to McCammon, she works with all the veterans. She's just an amazing lady. So we are the ones, the county, that pays Melissa and her assistant. We still send money to the veterans in Pocatello, to the memorial building. We send money to Downey, and we send money to Lava, to the veterans organizations. We have not abandoned anybody.
Okay. Commissioner Bullitt?
Thanks, Ernie, for explaining. The one thing you did not explain is the additional cost for health benefits,
True.
which, if I remember right, was
$400,000.
$400,000. The county basically is shouldering that extra money and not passing that on. And that should not go unmerited. What we couldn't have done with $400,000 if we would have passed that cost on. But we didn't. We didn't raise that. So in a way, that is of another benefit for the county employees. I want to take a minute, since we took everybody's lashings the other day, and justifiably so, I want to remind everybody about the purpose of county. We are full of continued mandates. The number one mandate we have is, and I'm glad to see the sheriff here. One of the things the county does is we have to provide law enforcement for the county and a jail. A lot of the other counties do not have that kind of facility, and so we participate and help with each one of them. But that is a mandate that's required of us by the state of Idaho, by the judicial system, and we have to fund that. We don't get any revenue back out of that. We maintain close to 500 miles of roads with plowing and chipping and sealing and providing fuel, providing oil, tar, and gravel to maintain those roads so that county employees can all use those. We have a mandate with a judicial system that's inside this courthouse with judges that not only serve here in Pocatello, but we're also actively in 5 or 6 other counties that they send people to us. With that, we have a juvenile system. We have a jail right over here for juveniles, which we house for the entire region again. Again, it's another mandate that we have to fund. With that, also, there are a lot of other organizations and agencies that help with the effects of poor judgments in homes. We have abused women and children, and sometimes spouses. We help fund those programs. We spend payroll to help do that. It's a mandate by the people. We accept that willingly. We have a mandate of the people to keep down our weeds and our mosquito issues. We have a program for that that is managed out of the county. That's what we do. One of the ones that we have too is an ambulance program. The Bannock County residents voted to have ambulance service throughout the county. The Bannock County does not have our own ambulances, but we contract with a very proficient one in the city of Pocatello. We utilize their resources, but we work very closely with them to make sure that the Bannock County residents throughout the county have ambulance service. Not just here in Pocatello, but clear to Swan Lake, clear to the Fish Creek Pass in Lava. They may not get the fastest response that we get in here, but that's their choice to live in down there. But we provide due effort and everything with the city of Pocatello to provide ambulance service. There are a lot of other things. Besides, it's our job to assess properties. That is a mandate, that it's the county's responsibility to hire a staff to maintain the assessment. We also, under the assessor's direction, we provide, under the state, we have to provide the motor vehicle registration over there. So we maintain a staff to do that. And outside with the sheriff's department, we also, you can go get your driver's license out there. I think too often we think that the county isn't doing anything, and yet we're involved with so many things that are mandated by the state legislature, by the court system. We have a prosecutor's office that we have to fund because of the district courts. And to basically take the people that are in violation of codes, and unfortunately with people that go in and shoot up innocent victims, we have to prosecute that. That's a mandate. We have to fund that. On top of that, there are parole officers. There are all kinds of things that we have with close to 400 employees that we're also trying to keep them happy and to take steps to make sure they're happy here and that we don't lose them. We do lose some of them to other jobs, and more power to them, and trying to replace them. We literally met over the last 3 or 4 months with every department, including elected officials, and went over their budget with them. Some of the things they recommended, we tried to do everything we could within our power to give them what they needed, whether it was a new vehicle, whether it was another staff member, whether they needed a raise inside of their organizations. We listened to all of that. We sat in those meetings. So to make a long story short, it is not as simple as somebody looking at one budget hearing on July 28th and say, we know everything that went into the budgeting process. I can tell anybody that's listening, that budgeting process is a very grinding thing to go through. Now, can we make a mistake? Can we swing and miss? Yes. And to get down to the point that probably most of you are here for, one of the things that we looked at, and in the process, we do get what they call a clerk's recommendation. Based on expenses, based on a projected revenue, we have a clerk and an auditing department, accounting department, that helps us make recommendations of where to try to make the budget. Point out that one of the biggest mandates we have from a county is to keep your property taxes low. That is probably the number one mandate. We try. Sometimes in our efforts, maybe we miss, and we probably did as we got down to it. One of the areas that probably we did miss a little bit was some of the charities, some of the nonprofits. In defense, I would love to, and I invite the attorney, I'd love to see where the counties are actually mandated to fund nonprofits. I've been in city government for 22 to 30 years. I've never seen many cities step out and help so many places. The county, to their credit, has been able to provide a lot of service to the places around town, including Aid for Friends, including the free clinic, including the crisis center. We could go on to all the senior centers. We looked at that very closely. And with probably the information we had, some of those decisions were made. I will apologize for looking at those narrowly and probably cutting some of those funds. But I will not apologize for not trying to take care of county residents' money. Because we're in our best effort trying to do what we can. With that, we're going to pass the budget maybe today. But with that, I can promise you within the next couple of weeks, we're making every effort to work with the clerk and work with the auditing department to try to find those funds out of this year's budget to bring those funds up to where they should be. That is as big as an apology that I can get, but I'm not going to apologize for trying to be fair and honest with everybody out there to collect their taxes, to spend it well. It's a lot of responsibility. We have a $100 million budget, and if you were running a $100 million company, it would be just as difficult. But here we're dealing, we don't have revenues. We can't go out there and just raise our prices. We can't go out there and just raise our goods and services. We have to take the money that has been entrusted to us by the taxpayers and try to make that go as far as it can. Will we miss a few? Yep. And in about 5 years, we'll look back and say, well, we could have done this different. We could have done that different. But we don't always have that luxury. So I'll get off my soapbox and just appreciate the opportunity to explain. We didn't take that time to explain that individually to everybody. I do appreciate the letters that have been sent. Every one of them have been written. We've invited. I have personally went down and visited with some nonprofits, walked in. I want to see their financials to make sure that they are doing good with what they have been given and that we have partners out there that are trying to help us. This isn't just Bannock County's responsibility. This is city responsibility. It is communities out there. It is churches. It is everybody's. And I will commit that over the next year or two, we will try to have better communication amongst the different organizations to make sure we will move forward and take care of that in the budget. So with that, I'm getting off my soapbox.
It's been an interesting week or two. A lot of you know me and know that I referee high school sports, and I've likened this last week to being a referee during a pretty intense ball game. No matter what you do, you're not going to make anybody happy. And a lot of people laugh at me and go, why do you do both things? And I scratch my head and go, I don't know sometimes. But I remember when I was a young kid, first year in college, and I had my daughter. She contracted spinal meningitis. It's the first time and only time in my life I saw my father cry. My daughter spent a week in the hospital. Didn't have money, didn't have insurance, poor starving college kid, and I turned to Bannock County, and Bannock County stepped up and helped me and my family take care of that hospital bill. Back then, the program was you had to come work off your bill, and we did that. But I was grateful for Bannock County to step up, and I think that's the heart of Bannock County. And it came through when everybody raised their voices and shared with us about we need to take care of the nonprofits and help the homeless. And so I, like Commissioner Bullock, apologize for my narrow view and some of the incorrect information I had, but I very much appreciated visiting with the nonprofits, and I share the same sentiment that Commissioner Bullock does. So that's the benefit of here. We have instant replay. We can go back and maybe fix. Anita, we can go back and fix maybe some of the things we got right or some of the things we got wrong. I don't have that luxury on the field. Tony's yelled at me a couple of times for some of the calls I've made, but that's okay. We're still friends. We're still moving forward, and it's next play, right, Tony? It's always next play. So, as Ken mentioned, I've been looking for ways to restore some funding to some of the nonprofits that we've talked about, and then we don't have a solution today, but we have a path forward. And as he indicated, over the next couple of weeks, I think we can find a way to do some things a little bit different and correct the wrong. But you're going to have to be patient with us while we work through that, because sometimes we have to move at the speed of government, which isn't as fast as we'd like, but I think we're going to make a move. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, again, Bannock County, thank you for your participation in the process. Thank you for your voices. We heard that. And so for that, I will stand for any other thoughts or motions or comments from the board.
So with that, I recommend we go ahead and proceed if we're prepared to. We cannot change the budget because it's been published. I would recommend we go ahead and move into that and approve the budget for year 2026, knowing that we have the calendar ticking, we have to do that, and the other things we're talking about is going to have to happen outside of next year's budget. It will take place in this budget with a promise, not only this year, but in the future. We increase communication, we increase collaboration so that we learn from moving forward. So if we've got the budget, clerk, are we ready for the budget to be passed?
Yeah, I think if that's your desire, then it is a balanced budget. You can do it.
Commissioners, thoughts?
We've commented.
Okay, we have a motion. And again, just to reiterate, we're finding a way to solve the issue with the nonprofit funding. Just give us a week or two and we'll have that taken care of. So with that, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? So that's that.
So you'll now form, is it in resolution?
No, well, yes, we'll have
To-
a resolution for the
to approve
budget,
the
but
budget.
also I'll get the L2 prepared, and then I'll have that, I think that's already on the agenda for Thursday next week, because it's due to the clerk on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, with that, we will move to the consent agenda. We don't have any resolutions and ordinances, no letters and notices. So is there any discussion on the consent agenda?
No.
Okay, I entertain a motion then
Didn't see any.
to accept that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.